The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as the human representative, Dr. Sarah Chen, walked toward the crystalline pedestal at the chamber's center. Around her, representatives from 47 species watched with expressions ranging from curiosity to barely concealed disdain. The air hummed with translated whispers through neural implants. "This is absurd," Ambassador Threknor of the Voldari Collective announced, his chitinous mandibles clicking with irritation. "Humans have been part of the galactic community for barely 3 standard cycles. This trial requires minds that have studied xenolinguistics for centuries. The High Arbiter, a flowing mass of luminescent gas contained within a force field, pulsed with calming blue light. The trial is open to all species, Ambassador. The human delegation has formally requested participation. We shall honor that request." Sarah reached the pedestal and gazed down at the artifact that had stumped the galaxy's finest scholars for 2,000 years. The predecessor script, etched into a tablet of material that predated most known civilizations, glowed with faint inner light. Thousands of symbols danced across its surface in patterns that shifted and reformed like living things. The challenge was simple in concept, impossible in execution. Decode the script and access the knowledge of the predecessors, the mysterious civilization that had seeded life across countless worlds before vanishing without trace. Hundreds of species had tried. All had failed. "You have 1 standard hour," the High Arbiter announced. "The symbols will test not just your linguistic ability, but your cognitive adaptability, pattern recognition, and cultural understanding. Many have gone mad attempting this translation." Sarah pulled a simple ballpoint pen from her jacket pocket. The gesture drew confused murmurs from the assembled delegates. The Xinthian ambassador, whose species communicated through quantum entanglement, tilted its crystalline head in bewilderment. "Primitive writing implement," someone muttered through the translation network. Sarah smiled and leaned over the tablet, studying the flowing symbols. They were beautiful, each one a work of art that seemed to contain multiple meanings depending on the angle of observation. She watched them shift and dance, and then she began to write on a standard paper notepad she'd brought with her. The symbols on the ancient tablet suddenly froze. "Impossible," breathed Dr. Kelleth, the Voldari's chief xenolinguist. "The script responds to her?" Sarah's pen moved across the paper with practiced ease, reproducing symbol after symbol, but she wasn't just copying them. She was improving them. Her human hand added subtle flourishes, adjusted curves for better readability, and simplified complex elements while maintaining their essential meaning. "What is she doing?" Ambassador Threknor demanded. The High Arbiter pulsed with intense curiosity. "She is redesigning them." Sarah paused and looked up at the assembly. "Original font or improved?" she asked casually, as if offering coffee preferences. "Because honestly, this baseline version has some serious kerning issues. The spacing between these phonetic markers is inconsistent, and don't get me started on the ligature problems." The chamber erupted in chaos. Half the delegates insisted this was sacrilege. The other half were too shocked to respond. "You dare modify the predecessor script?" Threknor's voice thundered through the chamber. "I'm not modifying it," Sarah replied calmly, still writing. "I'm reading it, and pointing out that whoever carved this was probably working with imperfect tools, or maybe they were left-handed and the rightward symbols got compressed. Look here." She pointed to a section of the tablet. "This character cluster represents a mathematical constant, but the proportions are off by roughly 3%. Either the predecessors were terrible at math, which seems unlikely, or this is a copy of a copy, and the degradation shows." She continued writing, her improved versions of the symbols appearing on her notepad with increasing speed. "The thing is, humans have been doing this for thousands of years. We've created, modified, and refined dozens of writing systems. Cuneiform, hieroglyphics, Hanzi, Kanji, Arabic script, Cyrillic, Latin, Devanagari. We understand that writing is both art and function." The ancient tablet's glow intensified. The symbols began rearranging themselves, not randomly but purposefully, adopting some of Sarah's refinements. "By the void," Dr. Kelleth whispered. "It's accepting her corrections." Sarah nodded, unsurprised. "Of course it is. The predecessors weren't gods. They were people, or whatever they were. They made choices about their writing system based on their physiology, their tools, their cultural context, and they built this test not to see who could worship their script like sacred text, but to see who understood that writing systems are living things that evolve. She wrote faster now, filling pages with symbols. You've all been treating this like an archaeological artifact to be preserved in amber. But writing is meant to be used, adapted, improved. That's the whole point. The tablet's light exploded outward, projecting holographic text throughout the chamber, not in the predecessor script, but in every known galactic language simultaneously. A message that had waited 2,000 years to be read. To those who break our code, it began. You have passed the first test. You understand that knowledge is not static. You have proven yourself worthy not through reverence but through innovation. The ones who simply copy do not understand. The ones who improve have learned to think. The message continued, revealing coordinates to predecessor archives, technological specifications, and an invitation to join the next phase of galactic development. But it was the final line that brought absolute silence to the chamber. We left our script imperfect intentionally. We waited for a species bold enough to fix it. Sarah capped her pen and looked at Ambassador Threknor. So, she said with a slight smile, about that barely 3 cycles comment. Maybe we humans have something to contribute after all. The High Arbiter pulsed with what could only be described as amusement. Dr. Chen, on behalf of the Galactic Council, humanity's probationary status is hereby ended. Welcome fully to the community of stars. As the chamber erupted in astonished conversation, Sarah gathered her notepad filled with refined predecessor symbols. She'd already spotted 3 more major archives mentioned in the message that would need decoding. She was going to need more pens.